doing? This is Roger Wallace. Thanks so much for being here. Our topic for this very first installment of this brand spanking new podcast is Why Am I Doing This? Coming up next on this broadcast of Onward Radio. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you tuning in here. This very, very first little maiden voyage of this thing I'm doing, whatever it is or whatever it's going to be. Whatever it is or whatever it's going to be, we're going to find out together. So I might as well just sort of jump right into things. The topic of this one is, why am I doing this? And that is a very good question. Thanks for asking that you didn't, what you didn't do. But I'm going to tell you anyways. So when I decided to go ahead and do this, I had to ask myself that very question. Why? Why am I doing this? Why now? Why at all? And the best I could come up with was two basic answers. Number one, because I can. And number two, because I have to. So let me explain those. Because I can doesn't just mean I can. Anybody can have a podcast, and clearly everybody does. But right now, everybody seems to be looking for something to do that's constructive and helpful, and this is one thing that I can do. There's a lot of things people can do. You can donate money, you can donate time, you can donate energy, you can talk to people, you can phone bank, you can text bank, you can get involved in any number of ways, and all of those are very important. Myself, I don't have money to donate. I don't have a lot of the kind of people skills one must need to be able to go door to door and talk to strangers or talk to them on the phone. I'm good at talking, and I'm good with friends, and I'm good on stage, and I'm comfortable all those places. But that kind of work is something I wouldn't be very good at, and hopefully I'll be better at this than I would be at that. So when I say because I can, that's what I mean. This is a thing I can do, and hopefully it'll be constructive and helpful. The number two thing is because I have to. And what that means is we are in a no-joke situation, y'all. This isn't the politics we've always dealt with our whole lives, and just the same old left-right back and forth. This side freaks out, that side freaks out. This isn't that. We're in an election. I've never said this. I've been paying attention to politics for a long time, and I've never said this about any election that it is as significant as this one is. If he gets elected for another 4 years, if we don't regain the majority in the Senate, if we don't turn over some of these state houses, the governors, all the way down to the district attorneys in our states and our cities and counties, if we don't do this, I don't like the whole it's over thing. It's over, man. I'm not quite going there. But it's not going to be a thing that you recognize. Even if you already feel like you don't recognize the country you live in, you ain't seen nothing yet if this guy gets reelected. And it will go on. I'm sure I'll be talking plenty about that as this podcast goes along. All of those things I can enumerate endlessly. But that's what I mean by I have to. It's all hands on deck. That's what this means. Everybody's got to be doing something. If you even give the slightest shit about this, hopefully you'll find a way to care about this more than you normally do. And that doesn't mean vote. Of course, vote. That's a given. But vote and bring 5 people with you. And what that means, it doesn't necessarily, hopefully, I mean, if it means, grabbing them by the arms and making a baby elephant chain behind you and, marching people to the polls, please, yes, please. But it can also mean talking to people. It means convincing people. It also means don't convince people to do nothing. We all have to think competitively. We all have to be, like I said, it's all hands on deck. We all have to be doing something, even if it's something like a dumb little podcast. And I always realized that this is just important stuff that people need to know. And a lot of people just don't have the time for it or the energy. And it's like a big soap opera. And if you don't know the characters, it's hard to jump in the middle. And so people just don't get as involved as they should or would like to. And I'm just nerdy enough and obsessive enough about all this stuff that I pay ridiculous amounts of attention to it and have for a long time. And my knowledge has only gotten more and more as I've gotten on. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more and more to the left. And at this point, I've, of course, always voted Democrat. But, I understand pragmatism and I understand compromise. And that's our system is built for pragmatism and compromise. It's part of how our system works, and it's necessary. Since 2010, however, the right, the Republicans, the GOP, the conservatives, the libertarians, the whole lot have just destroyed everything. At least done their damnedest to destroy as much as possible of everything that has been built in our system of government, in our society, and of course this last four. I didn't know. I never thought I would be down on the frontage road of I-35 in front of the police station, facing off cops and getting shot rubber bullets at. I didn't think that was going to happen. That wasn't on the bingo card for my freaking life. But here we are. And now I'm glad it was, and I hope there's more of it. And this is not tolerable. This has to change, and this has to stop, and we have to do whatever it takes to do it. And obviously I'll be talking more and more about all of these things and how and why to kick in this last leg of this election. There's only a month and a half, just a few weeks to go before early voting starts. Early voting has already started in some states. So this is it. This is the final turn. This is the last kick. If you're waiting for anything, stop it. There's no more waiting. This is when you have to do the thing that you have to do if you want to at all live in a society that you recognize. The breaking down of these systems is by design. And it was in the quest for power. And now we're paying the price for it. We have 200,000 dead people in 6 months from a completely, or at least mostly preventable natural disaster because we have an inept, corrupt fool leading the ship. And that has to change. And that's the plan. So when I say because I have to, that's what that means. I can't not do at least a little more than what I've been doing. And at least I can do this, and hopefully you guys will share this and listen and think about it, talk about it. Now's the time. Now's the time to talk. Now's the time to do the thing. One last thing. I decided to do this podcast before the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And if anything can kick you into high gear, it's got to be that. That about how dire this really is. That this illegitimately elected buffoon is going to get 3 Supreme Court justice picks. And all 3 of them are illegitimate picks. That's 3 illegitimate Supreme Court picks. And I can't think of anything less acceptable in our system, in our in our country, in our society, than a third of the Supreme Court being illegitimately selected. The Supreme Court does not reflect America at all. Especially if he gets this vote, if he gets this pick. And I don't know how he's not going to. It's really up to you guys, up to us. Just like all the rest of this is, it's up to us. It's about what are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? How much does this matter to you? And, take that first step out the door. Do the thing. But if nothing else, losing RBG is the last straw. That's just it. But I decided to do this podcast before she passed away. So now it feels even more urgent than it did before, and I didn't know that it could get more urgent than it already was. But here we are. So I guess that's kind of all I have for this first one. I just wanted to let you know why I'm doing this, just to give you a little rundown of what to expect, and thank you for being here, and invite you to keep listening. And eventually I'll hope to do a full-length, podcast with interviews and all kinds of goodies and all that stuff. We can all come listen here and get some ideas to share, and y'all can share some with me. And I guess that's it. That's what I got for now. I'm Roger Wallace. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you next time on Onward Radio.